Welcome to African and African Folktales channel. The Omanhene who loved riddles. In the country of Ghana, certain Akan nations are ruled by an Omanhene, who is the king of a village and the supreme traditional ruler for a region or town. A certain Omanhene Osei had 3 sons, Abeku, Akan, and Salisu, who were very anxious to see the world. They asked their father to grant them permission to travel to faraway villages. This permission he readily gave, with the understanding that each is willing to return home within 5 years to share what they learned from their travels. In preparation for his long journey, the eldest son, Abeku, anxiously mapped his route to travel north of Kwabena. He was provided with a servant and with all he could possibly require for his journey. After traveling for some time, Abeku came to Isikuma, a village where another Omanhene named Aboagye lived. He was known throughout the land for his insatiable love of riddles. However, there was a dark side to his love of riddles that Abeku will soon learn. All strangers, according to custom, were brought before Aboagye. The elder attendant of Omanhene Aboagye explained to Abeku the strict laws they abided by in their village. One law was that every stranger must correctly guess the answers to riddles provided by Omanhene Aboagye, or he would be beheaded. The unsuspecting traveler soon found himself trapped in a web of deceit, forced to answer 3 riddles or face death. He must be prepared to begin the contest the following morning. Next day, Abeku came to the Isikuma royal courtyard and found Omanhene Aboagye there with all his attendants. The Omanhene asked him 3 riddles. The first riddle: a certain tree is never still even on the calmest day. What tree is it? Abeku thought long and hard and answered, Wawa tree. Wrong. The answer: a palm tree, its leaves are always moving. The second riddle: I am born in the mountains, but I live in the sea. Abeku started sweating and closed his eyes to concentrate on the riddle. After contemplating, his answer was a goat. Wrong again, the answer is a river. The third and final riddle: the more you have of me, the less you see. What am I? After hearing the riddle, Abeku raised his head and with a confident manner before he provided his answer as a rain cloud. Omanhene Aboagye's serious demeanor changed to a smile, and he looked at Abeku and answered, Wrong. The answer is darkness. Abeku was feeling worried because he was told his terrible fate if he answered this last one wrong. As Abeku was unable to answer any of them, he was judged to have failed and was scheduled for a beheading the following day at sunrise. Abeku pleaded with Omanhene Aboagye to spare his life due to his royal status as a prince. Omanhene Aboagye made an exception in Abeku's case because he did not want to start a war with Kwabena. Abeku's punishment was imprisonment, and all his possessions were seized and confiscated by Omanhene Aboagye. His servant Esam was allowed to leave Isikuma and traveled back to his village to report the fate of Abeku to his family. Omanhene Osei was saddened by his eldest son's imprisonment, but glad that Omanhene Aboagye spared his life. Akan, the second son of Omanhene Osei, decided to travel to the Isikuma, where Abeku was imprisoned, in hopes of freeing his older brother. He took Esam, the servant, with him to show him the route to the village. After many weeks of traveling, he arrived at Isikuma. He also was asked to answer many riddles and failed. Accordingly, he also was imprisoned. By and by, the third brother Salisu announced his intention to travel. His mother Hanaya did all she could in her power to persuade him to stay at home, since his 2 older brothers were imprisoned in Isikuma before they could fulfill their desire to travel far away from home. When Omanhene Osei tried to convince Salisu not to follow his brothers to Isikuma, his discussion was quite in vain. Omanhene Abowagye's deadly laws that trap strangers in his village, rob and behead them, must come to an end. I will convene a meeting of all Omanhene from this region and inform them of Omanhene Abowagye's crimes against strangers, in hopes that a consensus can be reached to overthrow him. Hanaya was sure that if Salisu reached the town where his brothers were imprisoned, the same fate would befall him. Rather than allow this, she thought she would prefer him to die on the way. Hanaya prepared a food called kanke, which she filled with poison. Having packed it away in his bag, he set off. Very soon he began to feel hungry. Knowing, however, that his mother hadn't wished him to leave home, and therefore might have put some poison in the food, he thought he would test it before eating it himself. Seeing a vulture nearby, he threw half the cake. The bird ate the kanke and immediately fell dead by the roadside. 3 panthers came along and began to eat the vulture. They also fell dead. The young man cut off some of the flesh of the panthers and roasted it. He then packed it carefully away in his bundle. A little farther on, he was attacked by 7 highway robbers. They wanted to kill him at once. He told them that he had some good roast meat in his bundle and invited them to eat with him first. They agreed and divided up the food into 8 parts. While they were eating, the young man carefully hid his portion. Soon all the 7 robbers fell ill and died. The young man then went on his way. At last he reached the town where his brothers were imprisoned. Like them, he was summoned to the assembly place to answer the riddles of the Omanhene. For 2 days the contest proved equal. At the end of that time, the young man said, "I have only one riddle left. If you are able to answer it, you may imprison me." He then gave this riddle to the Omanhene: half kills 1, 1 kills 3, 3 kills 7. The ruler failed to answer it that evening, so it was postponed till the next day. During the night, the Omanhene disguised himself and went to the house where Salisu was staying. There he found a young man asleep in the hall. Imagining the man before him was Salisu's servant, and never dreaming that it was the stranger himself, he roused the sleeper and promised him a large reward if he would give him the solution to the riddle. The young man replied that he would tell the answer if Omanhene Abogye would bring him the ceremonial robe, which he always wore at the assembly. The ruler was only too pleased to go and fetch it for him. When the young man had the garments quite safely, he explained the riddle fully to the crafty Omanhene. He said that as they were leaving home, the mother of his master made him kanke. In order to find out if the kanke was good, they gave half to a vulture. The latter died. 3 panthers which tasted the vulture also died. A little of the panther's roasted flesh killed 7 robbers. Omanhene Abowagye was delighted to have found out the answer. He warned the supposed servant not to tell his master what had happened. In the morning, when the assembly reconvened, the Omanhene proudly gave the answer to the riddle, as if he himself had found it out. But the young man asked him to produce his ceremonial dress, which he ought to be wearing in assembly. This, of course, he was unable to do, as the Salisu had hidden it carefully away. Salisu revealed what happened in the night, and how the Omanhene got the answer to the riddle by cheating. He exposed the Omanhene's deception, and the assembly declared the Omanhene had failed to find the answer to the riddle on his own and must die. Accordingly, based on the laws of Isikuma, he was beheaded, and Salisu was appointed Omanhene in his place, and his brothers were set free. As the new ruler, Salisu brings peace and prosperity to the village. Thank you for watching African and African American folktales. Please like this video, ring the notification bell, and consider becoming a subscriber. Your comments provide feedback that help us create entertaining content for your enjoyment.